Greetings, users, and welcome back. Mihai here with another episode of Feed the Beast Strategy Guide. Um, we've been messing with thermalcraft, or thermalcraft. Thinking about thermcraft, I guess. Thermal expansion in all of its machines and how we can get it to help stretch our resources and stuff. And so we've got this nice little setup here. We've got our magma engine feeding into our machines, and then we've got our magma crucible generating more lava to feed the machines, right? So we've got this kind of self-sustaining power system. I mean, minus the netherrack. Um, and what I'd like to show you is, I've showed you guys all the machines and how they work, but what I didn't really show you is how you can make a nice little workshop to put them all together. You see how they interact, but you haven't seen how to make a nice fully functional workshop. So what I decided to do was remodel the cobble hobble um, and kind of renovate it with kind of a mad scientist setup here. So what we have here is thermal expansion used to the fullest. So as you can see, I've got two pulverizers and I've got two induction smelters. Now, why two, do you ask? It's a good question. Well, for starters, let's go ahead and go over what we've got. Let's see, back here I went ahead and set up a couple lava tanks, and these lava tanks feed into these magmatic engines. So we have kind of a nice giant engine array, I guess you could call it, back here. And what I've done is I've hooked up a little power cable back here. One of the mods included in the Feed the Beast mod pack is red power. And red power gives you these little guys here called red alloy wire. Now what red alloy wire does is red alloy wire allows you to take and put redstone wire on a wall. So you can actually string it up, loop it across however you want. And this comes in real handy when you're trying to get machines that are way up on a wall. You don't have to, you don't have to place your blocks behind it, and I don't have any redstone dust, but normally you drag the redstone dust across it. So this allows you to go on walls. Now, red alloy wire allows you to go even further and make jacketed wire. Now you can actually jacket this with just about any material. I just happen to use cobblestone because it was my cobble hobble. That makes sense. Well, the jacketed wire is basically redstone wire inside of a jacketed coating of whatever you want. Well, what this allows you to do is it allows you to make freestanding redstone wire. So if I connect these, then all of these, no matter what I place, let's just put little repeaters. Oops. Yeah, by the way, if you guys ever start typing and you notice your screen's all blacked out like that, it's because right down here you've accidentally double clicked. So if you double click again, it'll go right away. Aha, did you guys hear that? We left our engine going too long, and the darn thing finally exploded. I just didn't wait long enough last time. You guys were right. It totally exploded. Patience is not one of my virtues, huh? Whoa, look at that. It instantly filled up. Let's go ahead and turn our magma crucible on. Suck all that energy out. There we go. There we go. Okay, it's gonna cook down one of these, so haha. So back over here, I was gonna find some little repeaters. Let's get a bunch of them out. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of repeaters. I wasn't paying attention, I didn't see it. Alright, so we stick these stick these repeaters on anywhere down the lane here. Then when we apply a redstone signal, you'll see that all of them light up. So this becomes basically power blocks. So what I've done with that is I've actually encased all the way up and around my magma engines with this jacketed wire. If we come up here, come up here on top, you'll see that the jacketed wire comes over here. It basically does a big U shape around it, and then I've ran it over to here, which I've attached to a lever. Now, this jacketed wire, I believe, goes up to 25 blocks instead of the traditional 15 with redstone wire, redstone dust. So it will go longer, so you can actually use less repeaters and things like that. So what we've got is we got our engines hooked up with constant supply of magma. What you'll see here, I'm sorry, let me explain, is that we've got each of the engines hooked up to a wooden conductive pipe, which, as we know, wooden pipes suck off of uh, engines, power sources, which I'll actually do a more detailed video on Buildcraft, so we'll get all these pipes, and then I've got more conductive pipe here, which is going to transfer all the energy into our little machines, and over here into this magma crucible. And of course the magma crucible is going to constantly feed lava back into our tanks here, which will then feed our machine. So we'll basically end up, now I've filled it up a little bit to kind of get us started, so let's go ahead and get this going. Fire up our engines, and as you can see, power is feeding out of the machines and not into the machines. You know what I may have to do? I may have to put some gold conductive pipe in here. Oh, there it goes finally. So what you'll find is that with a lot of these stone pipes is that you lose a lot of energy over distance. So if we use gold, it's more expensive, but definitely gives us a lot more signal strength over longer distances. So, oops, these machines are going to slowly start building up power, as you can see there. And come on. Come on. Anywho, it's going to start working. So let's go over what we've got here. Basically, I've got a pulverizer here with, as you can see, cobblestone in it. Now, why would I need cobblestone in a pulverizer? The reason for that is because it makes sand, which I don't know if I hit on over here or not, but that's how I have one pulverizer dedicated to my sand generation, or sand creation, which then, based on my configuration, I've got cobblestone feeding in from the top, and then I've got the sand set to go out the bottom. Now, of course, you can always set up put a chest right here. Let's say, let's do that real quick. And we'll have our gravel, which gravel is a byproduct of pulverizing cobblestone. So if we just grab a little chest, grab a chest, and we stick it on top of a block, there we go, like that, then what'll happen is as we generate gravel here, we're going to send that gravel off to the side with the yellow. Now, if I wanted to export everything, red and yellow, I'd set this to orange, and then it would take both of them out. But obviously, we want the sand to go down. We don't really need to generate a surplus of sand right now. Now, left-clicking goes one direction in the colors, right-clicking goes the other direction in the colors, just in case you're getting confused by how I'm doing that. All right, so I've got one pulverizer set to constantly generate sand, and then the sand is going to come straight down into here. So that means our sand's sitting ready to smelt whatever we've got. Now, what I like to do is I like to take this first induction smelter and use it for things like iron. You know, things that are more common. Making iron, maybe I could make copper, I guess, is a good one. See, things like gold and other minerals and ores like that that are a little more precious and hard to find, I save those, because what I do with this is I smelt this, I would put my iron ore in here. Again, let's get out some iron ore. Oh, no, I don't want the... Now, what's going on? Huh, apparently we had a buildup of power in our lines. Yep, you can see that all the lines are built up with power now. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace all of these with gold conductive pipe now, because it looks like that stone pipe is not wanting to cooperate right. I use a lot of stone conductive pipes on my on my server Let's Play, but it doesn't look like it's wanting to work. It could be the difference in... Now, why aren't you guys going? Oh boy, they're all full, that's why. As you can see, it looks like having all of these engines here is a little too much power for these machines, especially since we have nothing going on right now. Pulverizer is the only thing going right now, and it's chomping down on cobblestone to create sand, which as you can see is building up here. Now, what I've got here is I've got a barrel sitting up top here with a bunch of cobblestone in it. Now, barrels are really awesome because you can actually fit the 64 stacks in there. I suppose I can show you how to make those barrels before I just place them in the world here. Oh, there we go. So barrel right here is just crafted by, no, not uses, I want recipe, there we go, by creating any 7 logs, I'm talking whole logs, all the way around, and then a half slab in the top middle. Now when we do that, it gives us one of these little barrels, and all you have to do is take and left click on them, we'll extract a stack of cobblestone, right click and we'll place a whole stack in there. And what you can see is it'll tell you how many stacks of 64 you have plus whatever extra you have. So if I had, this and we're going to fill it up, it would take those 4. See how my inventory dropped down to 57, and now it has a full stack. So what I've got is I've got a filter set to pull out cobblestone. It pulls out 1 cobblestone and sticks it in here. So then as the pulverizer uses it, which, okay. Oh, you know what's happening here? The redstone, or I'm sorry, the engine power is getting stuck in a loop right here. It's just feeding around and around and around and around instead of into the engines themselves. So what we need to do is better control this by, let's say, see if we feed 1 in there, then we need to get power over here. Okay, and then we still don't have power here. Okay. And we'll go over, back down. So now all of our engines should have power. Let's see what we've got here. The problem with these conductive pipes is that you have to pretty much make everything, dead end. Either at a machine or into a battery of some sorts, which right now I don't know of any Buildcraft batteries that we could store engine power. Now you can store electrical power and pretty much any other electricity, but you can't actually store engine power, unless of course you get like a blue electric engine, which converts energy into engine power into electricity. But that's for another time. So we've got all of our machines getting power now at a nice slowed, controlled rate. Now, as you can see, we've got gravel over here in our chest because that's what's being spit out underneath here. Okay, there we go. Things are confusing me. So, what I was trying to get was a stack of iron ore. Okay. And what we're going to do is put that in here to smelt with the sand. Now, as that's being smelted, we're going to get that rich slag that's produced. And that rich slag is going to immediately come over to here, where I have it set to go into that first slot. Now, why are we saving all this rich slag? Because like we showed earlier, that rich slag is what gets you that third ingot. So this is going to be where we put our precious metals. Let's see. If we just look up ores, we're going to have things like gold ore, which I need to get a whole stack of. There we go. Let's see. Coal ore we can't use right here. Diamond ore, obviously we could pulverize that and get 2 diamonds out of it. But things like aluminum ore we're not going to use. Basically, these are a lot of the ores generated by all the different mods. And I've actually had a request to do a little more in depth about these ores, and I am going to do that here in the next few episodes for sure, to kind of describe a lot of those. Now, most all of these ores can be turned into dust. Like we've got, boom, gold dust, iron dust, and all that kind of stuff. So these are going to be really important. Now, what we want to look for is there's one pulverized shiny dust for once. Can be, let's see if we look at the uses for that. Um, shiny dust can be made into a shiny ingot, which the shiny, come on, okay, shiny ingot. Let's see, shiny ingot's used for something else, isn't it? Oh, okay, well, it's... Where is the platinum? Um, one of the great ways to... Um, well, I apparently... Ah! The reason we're not seeing platinum here is because we don't have... I'm playing on the Direwolf 20 mod pack, and he does not have the... or chose not to use the Greg Tech expansion. And the Greg Tech gives us things like, I believe the shiny ingots break down and combine to make platinum ore. And with platinum ore, you can actually combine it to make plates and... see, now what I did there was I put that in the hopper, and it's going to automatically fill up this and pulverize it down into dust for us. Then the dust is going to come down into here, smelt with the rich slag to make us 3 ingots. So, as you can tell, we've already tripled the gold. Now, with things like Greg Tech, what you'll get is a lot more harder recipes, things like iridium or iridium plates and platinum this and that. And what you can actually do is you can actually make a shiny ingot, which will um, either you get the shiny dust, which you can make into an ingot and pulverize it. Then when you smelt it, you can actually get the 3 you can get the 3 bars off of it, smelt down 3 bars, pulverize them. So basically what you're doing is you're slowly growing. So you go from 1 ingot to 2 dust, from 2 dust to 3 ingots, from 3 ingots to 6 dust, from 6 dust, you see how it kind of grows exponentially. I'm not sure if it grows quite that fast, but you may only get, I believe when you pulverize it, you may only get 1 dust, but then for every 2 dust you get 3 ingots, so you do slowly grow it. You can do that with just about anything. So if I actually wanted to take these ingots now, we'll take 2 of them out. Watch what we're going to do here. We're going to pulverize an ingot into, I think it's only, yeah, 1 ingot will pulverize into 1 dust, but then when I smelt 2, yeah, see, now I smelt 2 of those, I'll get 3, so I'm slowly growing it. And so that's what we can actually do with some of these precious metals like gold and stuff. So this is kind of how we have the whole system kind of automating itself. Now what you'll see here is I've got netherrack feeding into my magma crucible with the same thing with a filter. And what you see over here is what's called a redstone timer. Where is it? Right here, a timer. Now this guy is an amazing invention from Red Power, which if we go into our NEI menu here, let's go down to Red Power. We're going to look up, I believe it's items, lighting, logic. Let's see, there's the advanced, here's the arrays, here's the basics, okay. Where is it? Oh, timed. There's a whole section for time. So we've got a sequencer. Let's see, I lost my menu here. Logic, timed. We got the timer, and then we got the sequencer, which is a counter. It'll actually put things in a certain order. Like every time it gets a tick, it'll switch to switch to switch, which is really neat. And then you get a state cell. Oh, here's the counter. I'm sorry. This will actually count how many ticks it gets, and then maybe it'll give you a redstone signal every 4 ticks or something. All right, come here. Quit clicking on stuff. There we go. So I will probably go over this a lot more in depth in its own episode if you guys want. But what that does basically is you can set it for how long you want the intervals, every 2 seconds. Obviously, it's the magma takes a lot longer to break down, so I could even slow this down even more if I really wanted to. Nope. What I did was I just dropped it down to every 0.2 seconds now, which I don't want that. I can make it set for every 10 seconds. Oops. There we go, every 10 seconds. So now it'll basically take 10 seconds for that clock to entirely get around. Until blink. Because this magma is going to take forever. As you can see, breaking down one piece of netherrack takes quite a while. So let's turn that back on. Yeah, it takes quite a while. So this isn't really important. Obviously, it's just, it might make a little bit of lag. So sometimes if you don't need it ticking as quick, you can go ahead and slow it down. This guy over here, though, on the other hand, Pulverizer works a little bit faster. See, as a matter of fact, I've actually... oops, I clicked on this melter. It goes every... like 5 seconds maybe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11... 10, 12 seconds maybe. So I could actually make this one go a little bit better. But with this filter, the point of having these filters is that instead of just constantly feeding a pipe into it, because what happens when you feed a pipe, except for the liquid pipes, because they're actually waterproof, any other transport pipe, well, let me just demonstrate for you. If you're using a transport pipe to put into a chest, for instance, and the chest gets full, then what happens is the items start dropping on the ground. I don't have... Yes, no, it's waterproof. Alright, we're going to do this little number. See if I have any... Nope, I didn't have any pipes. Alright, so if you've got a chest here that we want to load up with, load up with iron ore, and it's pumping into another chest that, say, is full of other junk, it's full of this other junk, and so that iron ore has nowhere to go, then what happens is it will start to overflow. Get my lever out. I put all my cobblestone up. Okay. So you've got this little machine set to pump this. So I'd have a chest full of cobblestone, and I'd be pumping it into the machine. Well, the problem with the machine is that without having a gate to tell it, I can't do this or stop whenever it's full, it's just going to keep doing this. It's going to keep popping out all over the place. And a lot of the collision masks on things have greatly increased, and things will just fly. Watch how far this went. Oh, see, they bounce all over the place. So, with this filter, if it doesn't have anywhere for it to go, if it's full, it won't pull. It'll just keep ticking. It'll keep, ignoring the redstone signal, basically. So, that's why I like those, which those little bad boys aren't too hard to make. Let's see here. We got a filter. Let's see, pull up the recipe for it. Basically composes of 3 cobblestone across the top, 2 more in the bottom corners, 2 gold ingots and a piston. Now the hardest thing to make is probably going to be this red doped wafer. Red doped wafer. Doped? Red doped? I'm probably butchering all these words, but red wafer. Now with that, what you actually have to make is this silicone wafer and redstone, and you have to use what's called an alloy furnace. This is a special furnace dedicated only to red power, and unfortunately to get into that, it's a little more than I've got time for right now, but I will definitely go over that in a video by itself. And again, you have to use that red power furnace, and now the silicone wafer is actually cut from a silicone boil, silicone thingy, which you'll need a handsaw, which this silicone requires a diamond handsaw, which if you guys want to know what a handsaw is basically sticks, 2 iron ingots, and 2 diamond. There we go. So that's going to take a little bit to make. So if you don't have the filter, I understand right now, and especially when you're starting out, because now this guy is what you end up using to make all of the um, you use it to make all of the what they call micro blocks. And a micro block is basically where you take a block and you saw it in half to make smaller bricks out of it. Let's see here. I mean, if you start with a whole brick, you cut it in half, you end up making half bricks, basically half slabs. And then you cut those in half, you can make quarter slabs called panels. And then if you go even thinner, you can get covers. So you got panels, cut those in half, get covers, and they are literally almost the thickness of a pressure plate, maybe a little bit thicker. And of course, you can chop them down all kinds of fancy ways. So I'll go over that later. And let me see here. Oop, no, I didn't. Oh, that's fine. So we went to recipe. We got silicone wafer, and that's made from silicone boule, which is basically another alloy furnace again. Coal and sand is really all you need to make this. It's just the hardest part is going to be finding your diamond hacksaw, and then finding the gold and redstone to make it. So, but again, if you guys want some more information on that, I'll definitely have that in a future video. But for now, I just want to show kind of how we would put all of these machines together to make a little workshop to help with our ore production. So as you can see, we've made 2 stacks of iron ingots now, and all that rich slag has gone over here to make us. Let's see, we ended up with 21 ingots there, plus the 13 I had over here. So we ended up with 34 gold from the rich slag produced from that iron. Now, I believe I had a whole stack minus plus 10. So, let's see. So we're 14. Yeah, we should be. Oh, I think we had 16 ore that we made into, or 15 ore. 16 or 17 ore that we made into ingots. Anyway, I'm just talking funny math now. So, stay tuned, and we'll talk about how we can improve this and make it even better. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I appreciate the support. If you enjoyed what you saw, give me a like, maybe subscribe. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more of these videos coming, and of course if there's anything you guys would like to see in future episodes, I've actually included a Google form down below in the description that you guys can fill out for suggestions / feedback, so you guys tell me how I'm doing and what you guys like. I appreciate all the support, and stay tuned for more.